help end users on board with interactive pop-up video messages. Thanks for joining us. My name is Mohammed Motahar. I'm a principal consultant at High-Tech Masterminds. And stay with me in the next 20 minutes to talk about how we can devise a solution to help end users board using these interactive pop-up video messages. All right, a little bit about myself before we start. So I have 70 years experience in the area of ERP and business process automation. I've worked as a developer, as a consultant, tech leader, trainer, researcher, and I started back in 2013 to work as an official CTP partner of Odoo, running technical training and functional training programs for partners flying from 7 different countries to attend the course, and also running projects for various customers in manufacturing industries, in sale and distribution sector, and service industry as well. I worked for United Nations to assist ERP implementation, and projects were basically the national level, assisting Ministry of Health from 14 different countries to implement Open ERP in a slightly different way, in a way that they can basically maintain and implement it themselves without relying on external consultants, which was a great project. And I have my education, luckily relevant to my job. My Bachelor is Software Engineering, Master of Open Source Computing, and my PhD is also in ERP systems. I'm working as a principal consultant and co-founder at High-Tech Masterminds, and we are the first Odoo dual partner. We are industry partner of Odoo, and we are also educational partner, since I work as a lead lecturer of ERP system and project management for Federation University Australia as well. A little bit about High-Tech Masterminds. We are a high-tech consulting firm here in Sydney, Australia, and we are helping companies to adopt digital technology. Adoption of technology often goes beyond just implementation of this and going live, and we're going to talk about it to see what the differences are. It goes beyond it by making sure that the technology that has been deployed can be used by end users or not. And we have 2 departments, ERP department, and in the ERP department, of course, we are providing Odoo consulting services, implementation, change management, and user training for customers, and also other Odoo partners, and do-it-yourself training mainly for power users, for customers in Europe and the US. And we develop our in-house products like analytic tools using AI and machine learning, helping manufacturing companies to be able to forecast their revenue and also plan better. And our tools are integrated with Odoo and other products like SAP as well. With the Department of Scale-Up and a Startup, we are assisting companies when they are scaling up their operations to redesign their architecture and use new technologies, of course, including Odoo, to support them in their future growth. Coming back to the topic now, helping end users on board with interactive pop-up video messages. For all of us in this call, what is, I think, very important is that the ERP implementation project should be a success. So if you are an Odoo partner in this, basically in this talk, or if you are like a customer, I believe we all need a success out of the project. And when we just search around this, and we realize that, well, the success rates aren't that high, and there are so many risk factors related to the success of the project. So if success is really a priority, let's redefine it, or let's look into the definition of this again, not redefine it maybe, because the definition is there, but it's something that we need to look at again. So the key priority for a successful project is to onboard users in Odoo. That's the definition of a project, a successful project. when we look into Odoo implementation methodology. And yes, that's true. So Odoo is looking into ways to make sure that we onboard users, not just by looking into completion of a project on time and within budget. Of course, that is the principle of project management. But when it comes to enterprise systems, bringing users on board really matters. And that's what Odoo is also suggesting for partners and also for customers to look at. Because experienced CEOs know that if we have successfully implemented Odoo modules and we go live on Monday, the project cannot be necessarily a success. It is a success if we can onboard users to use it. Because if we onboard users and they engage with Odoo, then end users can use majority of the features that are promised, and therefore it can result in productivity. That productivity can contribute to the efficiency of the processes that can ultimately impact the ROI. So this is why we have to look into basically definition of a success and how we can relate it back to simply how end users are engaged. And when we look into the differences between implementation of the technology and going live, like next week, and then definition of user adoption, we see that user adoption goes beyond just the implementation. Implementation of the software is referring to making this useful, making this usable, but simply the third step of the adoption, which is just simply getting this used, is often missed. And we need to make sure that we get this used. So in the case of Odoo, we want to make sure that end users on board engage with Odoo. And that can only be achieved by looking to our strategies to see if they are driving engagement or not. So it really matters, and many ERP projects worldwide are just failed because of this user engagement that is suffering. So of course we have strategies, and let's look into some of the strategies that we have. So often when I'm talking to companies about designing a new strategy, first thing they think is that, okay, it's just a classroom style training, online training, or user manual. These are industry standards that we need to follow. So when it comes to implementation of this, companies think that, okay, well, if we want to have a more effective way to implement it, we just need to bring perhaps the best ever trainer in the world. And also, if you want to make sure that employees are happy with it, if we run these workshops and these training courses in a way that is engaging, then it can help us to have employees, keep them happy and engaging them with a new system. And if they tick all the boxes after the training sessions in terms of effectiveness of the training and all the feedback based on the survey showing us that they're happy with it, then it is actually something that can help us to measure the success of the project at the end. But then let's do a quick fact check around this. Well, what I'm showing you is just fact checks from the industry, but in fact, my experience is really supporting that. This type of thinking about the strategy may not necessarily contribute to the success of the project. If we think that just by appointing the best trainer, in that case, a ticket, business class ticket, flying to the HQ to run the training is not necessarily defining the success of the project. So now, putting my experience aside, let's look into this. These are two fact checks. So my employees will love it. You invest a lot on the training with all the facilities, and you think that with the best trainer in the world, and you think that your employees will love it. But research tells us otherwise. Research done for interviewing more than 4,000 employees by LinkedIn about the corporate training and the heavy investment from the companies to basically support the training for these employees. It tells us that around 58 or close to 60% are saying that, no, I just want to learn at my own pace. And 49, close to 50% are saying that I want to learn it in the flow of work. So I don't want to attend a class style, classroom style, training, just sitting there watching for hours about how this works in Odoo, how that works in Odoo, and the day after, everyone expects me to, follow these instructions that I learned the day before. And also, science tells us that we forget everything about the fact up to 50% just an hour after it. It's about everything. Like you are attending a class, if it's math, it's Odoo or it's anything. That's the science behind it. It's what that's been proven, and that will be, I would say, a disaster if the investment around employee training program is done with the hope that employees will remember them all. So now the challenge is that how should we look into this first, and how we can come up with a better strategies. So first thing first is that if you're looking into these strategies, first thing we need to know is that new trends are telling us that we don't have in our Gantt chart in Odoo implementation project a fixed start date and end date for the project, fixed start date and end date for the user training basically aspect of the project. So we need to change our strategies to have more like continuous learning. So these are the missing pieces of the puzzle. If we can come up with a strategy that can help us to have our training programs to be iterative, to be continuous, and instead of a separate process, we deliver training as integral part of the software navigation, then we can tick boxes that can help us to redefine our strategies for a successful adoption of the software. And let's look into how others are doing that. That's how Slack is doing this. We haven't attended any classes for Slack, but it is just simply showing us these pop-up messages, micro-training type of concepts, introducing new features, guiding us through the whole process. That's how Google is doing this. Google is not running formal training for example, Google Analytics. It's just pop-up messages. Of course, not just Google Analytics. This is just a screenshot. They have hundreds of products, and you definitely have seen these pop-up messages. And how LinkedIn is doing this. Same thing. And of course, when we go to larger scale, even Facebook is doing that. There are so many examples of these pop-up messages you've seen, how to download your gallery, how to set the access right, privacy, and everything. And it's not just about, the scale of this training. We can also look into the categories like enterprise software. What about enterprise software? That's the screenshot of the SAP for end users and the training courses on how we expect end users to key in something and then they go to the next step. So this is proven to be very effective because we haven't attended any formal courses for many of these tools and technologies, like for example, Facebook and Instagram. We learn them in a more progressive way. And how we learn them? We get trained without leaving the app. That's one principle. The other thing is that it can be repeated as many times as we want it, making sure that we don't forget things, and it can progressively provide quick tips as well. So this has been basically, these are the concepts have been taken into account to develop this at High-Tech Masterminds. Adoption Lead. So Adoption Lead is a digital adoption platform that we engineered for Odoo platform. It helps us overcome these challenges that we discussed, and it can help us a lot in reducing the cost of the training and ultimately contributing to the success of the project massively. And it's nothing but simply a series of interactive pop-up messages combined with HD video explainer of the concept. Of course, in the backend, there are a number of tools and technologies powered by AI and machine learning, but at the end of the day, it's just tailor-made, real-time, interactive pop-up messages that is just working based on the role of the user to show them relevant tasks. So we are ticking two boxes. Employees are learning in the flow of work. They don't have to leave the software. That's the first tick. Second thing is that we are driving engagement. So we can show daily, weekly tooltips, making sure that we remind employees about various features so that in the forgetting curve with the right reminders, we can engineer a solution that can basically support the learning process. And it can be deployed into the cloud instance of yours or on-prem, and it can cover standard flow as well as custom flow. And I think best is to look into an example of this in a system. So I'm going to share my screen quickly, and with the very limited time that we have, I just jump into help desk. I activated that already, as you can see, is here, and this is my environment as a customer. It's not a separate environment. I just jump into this instance. Of course, since everyone knows about Odoo demo database, I just use the demo database so it can be something that is easy for everyone to understand. And look, everything is now on the screen changed, so it actually turn the whole environment of my production into a dynamic learning environment. So if I have questions around any of this field, instead of ringing, picking up the phone and ringing the departments, the support department, I can just watch these quick videos to understand what it is. And let's just look into, for example, one of these, like what is happy rating. So just clicking on this play button. So as you can see, even the screen is being shared as part of this to explain all the concepts around this particular field. So we try to inject all the knowledge around this field into a tooltip that is linked to this. So it can be about what this field is about. It can be, information around what are the configuration associated with this, and what are the reporting aspects, and how do you use it? How do you and examples of this, of course. So these are really useful for end users. And if I want to also show you the other, the other feature of this, the other basically product, in fact, it is the Odoo Smart Experience. The other one was Odoo Smart Tooltip. This one is Odoo Smart Experience. So based on the access route of this user, I can see sales module, CRM module, and help desk module. So I can, for example, look into these flows if I want to understand them. Of course, I ticked all the boxes because I attended that already, but I can just basically go through that again. I click on, for example, opportunity. It takes me to the CRM module, video explainer about what opportunity is. I click show me around. It tells me, hey, I can show you around, but first drop this because you don't see anything on the screen. I drop that. All right, that's the first card. With the limited time I have, I unfortunately can just click on next, next, next. So this is the qualified stage, that's the explanation, and that's it. So I just click on stop sharing. I think it gave us enough information around what it is, hopefully with a very limited time that we have to cover it in less than 20 minutes. So there are a number of benefits with this. I'll go through them quickly. So it reduced the training days. It really reduced the consulting days. In one project that I had, I could measure it. Really, it reduced the consulting days and also the support calls, especially during the first few weeks of implementation. Experienced consultants, they know what I'm talking about. So often you are very busy during the first few weeks of going live with your customer. And this is really beneficial at the time. Of course, from the company perspective, there are benefits for ROI. Employees are not walking around asking each other about how the software works. It has faster time to gain proficiency in the application, definitely reducing the cost of training and speeding up the adoption rate as well. But benefits for the end users are a lot, reducing the pressure on memorizing everything, increasing the adoption acceptance rate rather than resisting for the software. Employee resistance itself is one of the critical failure factors, and we are overcoming that challenge. And improving employees' productivity and providing progressive ongoing training, and also better scheduling of the training sessions. So for the internal project managers, you can make sure that it reduces the number of internal service requests, and you can monitor your adoption progress to see which department, for example, is engaged with the system better than the others. Adoption lead that I introduced to you is like a GPS. It can show you around, and your users can find the path. But important thing is that they can find it while they are driving. And we don't want them to leave the software and watch the YouTube video in the other screen and then come back to the first screen. And what we want is that, just like driving a car, you don't want to stop your car and ask the question of where to go to find this beautiful part of the city. You don't want to stop your car and look into the map, which is similar to user manual. At that time, you are not productive. And what we need to come up with is a tool that is keeping everyone engaged with the platform to increase the productivity, because we want to improve the efficiency of the processes and ultimately improve the ROI, basically to have positive impact on the ROI. So we show you the way, but you still need to drive the way. So decision is yours. So the last slide is just Q&A. Thank you very much for attending. My contact details are on the left side of the screen. And you can navigate to this address to download the promo code, or you can request for a personalized demo. Would be happy to show you the system that we engineered, which is really helpful for customers as well as Odoo partners to support their change management plans and strategies. Happy to take any questions.
All right. Thank you so much, Mohamed, for this great presentation. I mean, one of my favorites so far that I've seen, definitely something that will help our partners, our clients. I think the user adoption is very important for many cases, and with great training features like that, I'm sure people will love to use Odoo. I'm blown away by the amount of integration that you have done with us, especially on the Odoo page for different features. Thank you so much for that. I have one question, and I have a couple of questions, but let's start by this one. What kind of browser are you using to kind of see these videos? Is it any browser? Is it one browser? Or what is the browser you recommend? Yeah.
Okay. So, well, thanks for having me. Right now, it works with Google Chrome. That's what we have conducted or testing. So that we can make sure that it works if customers are using that. There are some sort of inconsistencies when it comes to run it using other browsers, which we are still working on it. So I think we can say for sure that it works fine with Google Chrome, but we have to make sure that we complete all our test cases before we can basically recommend other browsers as well.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. So it's available on Google Chrome right now, and in the future, probably others as well. Yeah, that's great.
Yes.
At Odoo, we recommend Google Chrome for the audience, so it's definitely something that you should check it out. Anything else about? I had a question regarding the preparation of prior to releasing the training for your clients. What kind of interaction and what kind of preparation do you have with your clients or with your partners? What kind of question did you ask them, basically? Yeah.
Very interesting question. Of course, the quality of the contents matter, and how we can make sure that the quality of the contents are up to the standards depends on how we can collaborate with the customer and potentially with the partner that has done the implementation for them. So what we really need is a very short period of time to figure out how the implementation has been done, because we have various type of clients using various modules. Of course, when it comes to Odoo, we know everything about Odoo and how it can be implemented for customers in particular industries. But what we really need is a number of days to study all the customization that potentially has been done to implement the software to ensure that we cover them all during the videos. Because for one customer, there might be, for example, a few key elements on the screen are important. It even can play a different role of what other, for example, customers are using that field, or there might be even some customization around particular fields on the screen. So I think the process really depends, but the shorter period of time we can make it could be, finalization of that stage could be done in just a day. But depending on the complexity,
it can be longer
of the implementation,
if it's big,
it can go beyond even a week. We need to see how many customization they have done and to go through them.
Thank you. Yeah. We had one more question for actually one of my partners in Canada. We have 30 seconds to answer, though. Let's just try to be quick. But what about the pricing model? Do you resell the apps? Do you sell the apps by users? Or is it just a package implementation? How is your pricing model when you sell that? Yeah. And we have just 10 seconds on that. Yeah.
There are two, as you can see in the presentation, there are two different products. So their pricing model is different because one is the Odoo experience, smart experience, which is the flow, and that is different. And the other one is Odoo tooltip, which is a smart tooltip. So the smart tooltip, we spend time on building that, which we provided in a form of a proposal and a quotation. However, once it is activated, then we charge a small fee per number of users, exactly similar to Odoo, per number of users and for the number of apps. And then it's up to the customer to activate it for example, for all 100 users to see 100 different apps or not. And
that's great.
That's how it works. But I think best is that because there are variations here, so we build a form on the website and make it easier for especially for other partners to submit their inquiries.
Mohamed, thank you very much for that. I'm very happy. Feel free to connect with Mohamed. I just dropped the link if you guys have more questions. And Mohamed, thank you so much for your presentation. Have a great day.